Something touched me deep inside the day the music died. So
It's
bye.
Charlie Sharp along with Lori Lieberman. Lori, does that bring back some memories for you?
Of course it does. I mean, that particular song, was so huge back then and everyone was singing it. Um, it it does bring back memories, but the one that really moved me was one called Empty Chairs that he
Hmm.
did. And I just really, boy, that song really resonated with me personally and inspired a pretty popular song.
Yeah, so Lori Lieberman, of course, is joining me, and we're talking about the song Killing Me Softly. Of course, she is one of the artists, one of the composers on that song. But Lori, there's a little story that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people, we think of Roberta Flack and with that song, but there's a little backstory that a lot of people don't know that I'd like you to share that with us, because I think it's a big deal to talk about.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It feels, as the years have gone by, I'm not sure. To me, it doesn't really feel like that big a deal, but it is definitely part of my story, and I'm happy to talk about it because um, I think I kind of view it as a cautionary tale in many ways.
Hmm.
But going back to the 70s, early 70s, when I was 18 years old and came out to Los Angeles from where I had been brought up in Geneva, Switzerland. The
Wow.
world was a very different world out here, and quickly I got signed to Capitol Records and also embarked in a pretty all-encompassing deal with two managers who kind of tied me up as a songwriter. They produced my music, they wrote for me, managed me in a contract that really probably wouldn't hold up today. And then a personal relationship ensued with one of them. But back then, going through a turbulent relationship with my manager, my girlfriend Michelle Willens, who is a writer based in New York, asked me if I wanted to go to the Troubadour one night in LA to see a singer that I hadn't heard of, Don McLean.
Yeah.
And I was reluctant to go. We were also in the midst of recording our first album for Capitol Records, and we needed one more song. But I didn't think about that when I went. I thought about just leaving my frozen M&Ms behind and going going to the Troubadour one night. I lived pretty close to there, down the street actually. So I met my friend Michelle, and we were sitting there, and he was fantastic. Just him up on stage um, uh, with his guitar solo. And singing his songs, and he was great. He went from song to song, and suddenly then sitting in the back of the club where I was, he began to sing Empty Chairs, and it just resonated with me and what I was going through, because the lyric is, I wonder if you know that I never understood that although you said you'd leave, I never thought you would. And, it just was for me as a young, vulnerable young woman, it inspired me to just kind of write down my feelings on a napkin about what it was like to go to a club, hear a singer I hadn't heard of, and feel as though he was singing to me and about me, and about my life, and that I felt very exposed, as though he was reading my diaries or my letters. And um, when I went home, I called my manager and told him that I'd had this experience and read the poem to him over the telephone. And over the next 2 days, we crafted a lyric because he already had the title "Killing Me Softly with His Blues." And it was a title that he had gotten from a book, a Portuguese book, actually.
Hmm.
And he had a list of titles in his, he was a great writer. This guy, Norman Gimbel, he was responsible for Girl from Ipanema, lyrics, Girl from Ipanema, Canadian
Hmm.
Sunset, all of the umbrellas of Cherbourg. I love him, and where he goes, I'll fight. He even wrote that, and was quite a bit older than I. But at any rate, we worked on this lyric together, and he asked me where I was sitting or standing, and what I was feeling, and then we showed that lyric to Charles Fox, who was the music part of that partnership,
Hmm.
and that's how the song "Killing Me Softly" was uh, was created.
I'm gonna drop it in here. Okay, so I put the pause in. Okay, so killing me softly. Okay, so now we want to know. Let's we're at the same time. So tell me how Roberta Flack came into the picture with the same song. Now, because you guys were both at the same label, right?
Not at all.
No, okay.
No, she was with Atlantic
Okay.
Records. I was with
Okay.
Capitol, and the way she heard it was, I have it right here. It's going to be backwards, but I was the featured artist of American Airlines. My album had come out, and
Hmm.
the single "Killing Me Softly" with his song
Yes.
was just climbing up the charts. And can you see that, Charles?
Um,
Maybe if I bring it
oh,
closer to the
almost.
camera. Fun in Flight, it
Yeah,
says.
fun in
And
flight.
there's
Yeah.
a drawing of
Yeah.
me. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she was on an airplane. She was on, it was so
Wow.
crazy. So she was on an airplane going from, I think, New York to LA. And
Hmm.
she heard, you had to listen to music. They
Yeah.
featured my full first album. And she listened to the album, and "Killing Me Softly" just, it stuck out for her. And at
Hmm.
that time, she had to listen to the whole playlist again to get back to that song, and she made her notes. And when she landed, she contacted her producer Joel Dorn and told him about this song. Then she wound up for a couple of months after she first heard it. She wound up kind of playing it to herself, but performed at I think it was, I want to say, the Forum in LA.
Hmm.
And it was time for an encore. And she had run down the song once with her wonderful band. And when she came back on for the encore, she was wondering, what should I do? God made, well, let's try that song, that song that we've been, running through. And so she played "Killing Me Softly" for the very first time, and the audience went crazy. And when she got off the stage, Quincy Jones was there.
Mm, yeah.
And he said to her, "Ro, don't sing that dang song one more time until you record it."
Yeah.
So she did record it, and she changed it up, changed one of the lyrics, but but infused her very personal, wonderful, and incredible arrangement by adding a choral effect, by putting it into a two feel, because before it had been a backbeat. "Strumming my pain with his fingers" was mine, but hers was "strumming my pain with his fingers, ba bum bum." And I'm
Hmm.
telling you, that was like a real innovative thing to do then. And and it just rose to number one. It was an amazing thing.
But I mean, that must have been, what was that like for you as a young artist, right? You're just starting off. This is your very first album, right? And
Yeah,
and was she really wasn't that popular at the time, or was she
she was very popular because
okay?
she was just off "Last Time Ever I Saw Your
Oh
Face,"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
through the movie "Play Misty for Me," and it I think she'd already gotten an award for it. I mean, no, she was very, very, very popular then. But this, I think, brought her not only to the R&B charts, but the pop charts. It was a
Hmm.
real crossover. And what it felt like for me was, I was, uh, I'm not sure exactly how I felt, because her version was so different from mine, which was such a personal rendition. Mine was basically a folk song, guitar,
Hmm.
piano, some strings, and very melancholy. It was a sad song. And she kind of, really opened it up. Um, she also created the middle section, which has become so well known, and that's hers. And it was a whoa, she
Oh,
did that.
yeah.
That's her. And really, she should have gotten credit for that.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, and we wanted to also talk about the credits because there was an issue where you didn't originally get credit for your name on that song. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it was a tough time, again, being 18 years old,
Yeah,
and grateful to have a first contract. As I said, I grew up in Switzerland, so this was a new world for me. Uh,
sure.
I never thought, I honestly never thought that. I guess I never thought they wouldn't be fair, but I also didn't give it any. I thought that's the way the music business went, that you just kind of give your ideas away, and well, there's another one and another one, and it was all sort of mixed up. I didn't realize until the Grammys, when they all got the award for Best Song of the Year, and my managers went up to the podium and just didn't mention me and just said thank you very much. And I at that point felt very invisible, and
Hmm.
at that point um, realized, oh gosh, maybe I should have maybe I should have gotten credit,
Hmm.
because it was my story, and had I not gone to the Troubadour that night, it wouldn't have been written. And
Yeah.
it's a song that has endured by all these years. So there was a complication in the beginning, but it did get resolved. So I'm happy to say that.
Well, time has passed, and of
Yeah,
course, that makes everything good, right? We look back and go, "Wow,
yeah,
it's good now. It's all good." And you've got your show coming up next week.
I do. I can't believe it's
Yeah,
away.
it's coming so fast. Yeah.
It is. I mean, I was booked, like, I want to say 8 months ago, and always before I perform, I always think about two things that I never know what I'm going to wear. Always
Hmm.
fear that no one's going to show up. And this has been going on for decades, but
Yeah.
I'm prepared. I've got an incredible group of musicians who are going to be with me, and the place is pretty much, the tickets are going really well. And it's at the El Rey Theater in LA. And if anybody's interested, it's on, online. You can grab a ticket. And I made sure that the price of the tickets were low. I don't need the money, and it didn't, compared to, what people are paying right now. It's so crazy, and
Hmm.
I will never be a part of that.
And we should say, Lori, you're playing with the full orchestra, or, with the full band. So and there's no backup tracks. It's Lawrence has told me it's you and the musicians.
Oh
You're,
yeah.
you're doing it the old school way with,
Oh, yeah. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. I can't even
yeah,
imagine. I would really mess myself up if it was backing tracks.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm on guitar and piano, and there will be some solo things. There will be some that I'll be joined just by a violin, some just by a cello, and different configurations, and then with the whole band. And that, boy, they're really great. And I'm bringing in a piano player from New York that I had worked with at Carnegie Hall when I
Wow.
was there. So yeah, it's going to be a great evening. And also I'm having it recorded, so I'll be having Live at the El Rey coming out, and
Oh,
that's good.
very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
And I also have a new album that's coming out at the same time as well. One that I did in Berlin in June. Uh, and it was really interesting, Charlie, because I had coordinated my schedule. I had some concerts in Denmark and Switzerland, and got approached by a company, a very audiophile company who does analog recordings, direct to tape,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
those audio files, and it's a vinyl, 45 vinyl. And I did it in 2 days live with musicians, and that they had handpicked, with songs by The Cure, Lou Reed. They picked the songs. The Cure, Lou Reed,
Hmm.
Ron Sexsmith, Tracy Chapman, uh,
Wow.
and Oh, and it is so cool. It's a really cool album, kind of with my own personal stamp on these songs. But I'm also joined by a really well-known UK artist who did a duet with me. His name is Fink, and he's really cool. So, that's coming out, and the album is called Perfect Day, based on the Lou Reed song. So, I'm excited. Some nice things happening.
Absolutely. So, Lori, I know you're an icon in the business. Is there any, a lot of musicians coming up, and now, everybody's got YouTube, and you can sort of do it from your bedroom. Is there any advice that you would give to any of the musicians coming up?
Oh, only really one. Advice is keep keep following your heart, be authentic to who you are, and never give shit away. Just don't give it away. Claim your contributions and don't be intimidated by people who've been in the business longer than you.
Very nice. So thank you so much, Lori, for those words of advice. And we want to let everybody know your concert is next week, November 2nd, Saturday, 8 o'clock, El Rey Theater, Los Angeles. I've been to that theater. It's one of my favorite ones because it's very
Good.
intimate. It's very intimate
And yeah, historic as
and
well.
very historic as well. And tickets available at theelray.com.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you.
Cool. Thank you so much, Lori.
Thank you, Charlie. It was lovely talking to you. Take good care.